What if I told you that there is an invisible war being waged against your home day in and day out? And it's not what you think, it's the environment itself. Today, we're going to explore this hidden battle by zooming in on one Texas town where the very ground and water are in a constant fight with the houses built there. So, that leads us to the big question. Why? Why are homes in this one particular town getting hammered by their surroundings? Well, it's not just a string of bad luck. It's a perfect storm of environmental factors. And by figuring out what's going on there, we can learn a ton about the forces at play under our own homes too. All right, so our investigation is going to take us to Windcrest, Texas. Now, at first glance, it looks like any other quiet, normal suburban community. But just below the surface, there's this perfect storm of natural forces creating a really predictable and really costly pattern of emergencies for the people who live there. To really solve this mystery, we need to look at two main culprits. You can think of them as partners in crime. The first is the ground itself, the very dirt these houses are built on. And the second? It's the water that flows through the pipes. They're basically working together, one attacking from the outside in and the other from the inside out. So let's start with that first attacker, the one coming from the outside. It all begins with the ground, and we're not just talking about regular old dirt. No, this is a powerful and super unstable type of clay soil, and that is culprit number one. So the ground in this part of Texas is what's called expansive clay soil. The easiest way to wrap your head around it is to just picture a giant sponge. When it gets dry, it shrinks up and pulls away from everything around it. But when it gets wet, it swells up with this incredible force. It's literally like a slow-motion earthquake happening under your house, all the time. And this creates this incredibly powerful destructive cycle. Just look at what happens. First, you get a drought, and the soil shrinks, leaving these empty gaps under the foundation. Then, the rains come, and that same soil swells up violently, pushing the concrete slab up. All this back and forth, this constant stress, eventually cracks the foundation. And those rigid pipes buried inside, they don't stand a chance. They just snap. Now, this problem is especially bad for a specific type of home. We're talking the ones built back in the 60s and 70s. And why is that? Well, because they use these really rigid copper pipes that have absolutely zero give. So when that foundation inevitably moves, and it will, these brittle pipes have no choice but to break. So you've got this attack coming from below. But believe it or not, that is only half the story. The second culprit is attacking from inside the pipes. We're talking about the water, specifically the extremely hard, mineral-rich water that Windcrest gets from the Edwards Aquifer. See, this water is just packed with dissolved minerals, mostly calcium and magnesium. As it flows through the plumbing, it leaves these little mineral deposits behind, creating this hard, crusty buildup called scale. Honestly, you can think of it like cholesterol for your home's arteries. It just slowly, silently clogs everything up and corrodes the entire system from the inside. And the real-world cost of this is pretty staggering. Let's just take a water heater. On average, it's supposed to last around 12 years. But in Windcrest, that mineral scale is so aggressive that it can cause a total failure in as little as 8 years. That's a third of the appliance's life, just erased by the water. So let's recap. We've got our two bad guys, the shifting soil squeezing the pipes from the outside, and the hard water eating away at them from the inside. Now let's see what happens when these two forces team up and how they create this very predictable and painful set of emergencies for homeowners. And it's no surprise, really. When you look at the most common plumbing problems in this area, they map directly back to our two culprits. Slab leaks, that's the soil. Hard water damage and corrosion, that's all those minerals. Even tree roots do more damage here because they're drawn to pipes that have already been weakened by this two-front war. Let's just zoom in on the biggest issue on that list, the slab leak. It sounds kind of technical, but it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a pipe that has broken underneath the solid concrete foundation of a house. This is one of the single most destructive types of leaks you can have, and it's a direct result of that shifting clay soil we talked about. Because these leaks are totally hidden, catching them early is everything. The clues can be pretty subtle. You might notice your water bill suddenly shoots up, or maybe you find a weirdly warm spot on your floor. Sometimes you can even hear the faint sound of running water when you know for a fact all the taps are off. Spotting these signs is absolutely key to preventing a total catastrophe. Okay, so we've established the problems are complex, they're interconnected, so fixing them isn't as simple as just slapping a patch on a pipe and calling it a day. No, it takes a really specific, systematic approach that gets at the unique challenges of this very specific environment. And this right here is where having local expertise becomes a total game changer. A plumber who understands Windcrest's soil, who knows about its water chemistry and the way homes were built here, they're not just treating a symptom, like the leak itself. They're diagnosing and fixing the root cause so it doesn't just happen again in 6 months. So a real professional response follows this clear 3-step process. First, they inspect and diagnose. They're like detectives, using high-tech tools like cameras that go inside the pipes and electronic leak detectors to find the exact source of the problem. Then comes the expert repair. This might mean using modern, flexible materials like PEX piping that can actually move with the soil, unlike that old copper. And finally, they test everything to make sure the fix is 100% solid, and they guarantee their work. The story of Windcrest is just such a powerful reminder that our homes are in a constant, silent conversation with their environment. And it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's in your soil? What's in your water? What are the invisible forces that are shaping the life and the lifespan of your home?